Yeah, we're live. It lets you know when you're going live. Oh, my
Hello,
voice.
hello, hello, hello.
You sound so crisp and clear today, and I sound so
Really?
haggard.
Well, I've been yelling. Well, not yelling, but I've been talking to a 2-year-old since like 8 o'clock this morning.
Oh my gosh,
So it's all the warm up.
I haven't seen you since
I did
you were a
want to
mom.
bring him. I did want to bring him in, but he's older now. Like if he was like 10 months, 8 months, it'd be so cute because he'd sit on my lap and he'd be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But now it's like, hey, phone, like he's so aware of the world. He'd be like, hi. So
sorry, I gave your child a gremlin voice. I want to be on YouTube.
Well, because he's like discovering himself more and more, like every day. Like the child that I had pre-quarantine at the height of quarantine to the child that I have now going on day like 100 and something. It blows my mind at the difference and the growth. I mean, he's taller, his feet have gotten bigger already. Like he's phrases, like he's starting to kind of, what is the word when you're not debating, but like you're trying to persuade. So he'll ask for a cookie and I'm like, no cookie. And he's like, how about just came out of nowhere. And I'm like, what? And so I'm like, no, how about chips? And I'm like,
how about
no.
He's coming up to you like, he's like, can I have a car? And you're like, no. And he's like, okay, how about a motorcycle?
My brain can't even, I can't even understand where this child is coming from. And I mean, I love it. And I think it's great as a parent. It is great to have a front row seat to the growth of your offspring. But every day.
But sometimes mommy needs a break.
Every single day. Like at the start of quarantine, Tim, I was like in it. I had charts, I had graphs, I had, I literally cut out the alphabet and drew it myself and the numbers and, posted them on the walls. And we were doing all kinds of learning activities. That was day one. Woo! Now it's like
2 years later.
Two years later, he woke up, like in the morning, and I went and got on the couch. I put on his favorite cartoon, and I was like, "Square, look, circle." I just feel like a failure. I know every mom I talk to is like, you're not, but I promise you, it just takes a toll. Momming 24/7. I saw a meme that was something like, moms choose to either be a stay-at-home mom or a working mom. There's a reason you don't do them together 24/7. Like, and being an educator at that, like our educators deserve it all. Okay. Deserve it all. So being an educator, a worker, working mom and a caretaker, like.
Have you seen the video of that kid? The kid's probably like 7 or 8 years old, and they're like sitting eating dinner with their mom, and the mom goes, okay, tell me what you just said to me. And the kid goes, I wake up, mommy. I eat breakfast, mommy. I take a bath, mommy. I go to bed, mommy. I need a break from you. You're always there.
Now, if a child is this a quarantine video?
Yeah.
If a child feels that way, like just imagine what that mother feels. Like literally,
right.
I promise you, nap time. Can you hear it? Nap time and bedtime are legit my favorite parts of the day these days. Like it just, and it could be craziness throughout the whole day. And I'm like, yo, go down. he goes to sleep, and then I stare at him and I'm like, you are the most magical being in the world. Like, it just, the levels of a parent, like, I sometimes I have to like check in with myself and know that I am human, know that I feel, because it's like you literally in one moment can feel like you want to hurt them. No, you don't, obviously, because we have the wherewithal to get
Right,
ourselves
right.
back to center.
Our thoughts are
But
different than our actions.
exactly.
Totally.
And then the very next moment, you're like, you are amazing. You're the greatest gift that our father could have bestowed on me. Like, I just
Yeah.
can't live without you. And that is the cycle. And then the next minute you're just like,
Get this kid
uh,
away from me.
I do the bathroom thing where you go potty for a long period of time.
Oh, I'm sure I do that to my boyfriend all the time. He'll be like, can you help me with this? I'm like, I have to poop. I'm so sorry. And then
I do the
20 minutes
bathroom.
later, he's like, what are you doing in there? I was like, oh, that I ate cheese earlier. That's why I'm still in here.
It is the best legitimate escape ever invented, even though it's not invented because we all have to go to the bathroom. So it's not even like you're faking, but it's like literally I have to take care of some business for as long as I feel like is necessary. Okay,
Isn't
for the
that
sakes, it's amazing.
isn't that beautiful? It's like you and I will get into this. Let me introduce you. Actually, let's start there, ladies and gentlemen. This is obviously my old friend, someone who I fucking love. You're just such a light of a person. You are so funny. You're so fun to be around. We met and fell in love doing a production of Big River, which we'll get into, where we had to
With tapping
drive.
slaves.
Literally, let's talk about that. We were or not. We
It wasn't bad.
had
It
to
wasn't bad.
we had to drive. Oh my god, do you remember the day that you were late because the train stopped working and you
Yes.
told us you were going to climb out of the train to get to this production contract that was literally paying us almost no money? You were
Gosh,
like
that was
sweaty. Okay, let me introduce you. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage my friend and yours. She was recently in the last OG. Okay, ever heard of Tracy Morgan much? If you follow my videos, you know her from Non-Equity Dinner Theater Spotted. And hello, she's in a reading coming up this Friday called The Danger. It's about the Eric Garner story. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Joanie Anderson.
Hello.
Oh my God, it's so just great to see you.
I know. I'm okay. Honestly, I feel very famous right now. Like, I'm like,
You
I
are.
am doing a podcast. I am famous. I'm cool. This is dope. So I'm very, very excited to be here and do this thing.
I just love you so much. And you were talking about motherhood before, and your son is, I don't say this lightly, I would tell you the truth. Your son is so cute. He's the most, every time I see pictures of you guys on the internet, I'm literally like, how are these two human beings so adorable?
He's pretty great. Like, his godmother, she's so hilarious. She was like, Joanie, what if he wasn't cute? Like, I literally don't know. She was like, I couldn't lie to you. Would I love him less? And I'm like, no, you wouldn't. You would not love him less. And first of all, you wouldn't love him less because you would just love him, period. But she's like, no, but he really is adorable. And I'm like,
he really
thanks.
is so cute. I
And
can't
he's
even.
funny. He's
I'm
funny.
sure he's funny. It comes from
get a
you.
person. The fact that you say I'm funny and hilarious, I just literally I receive that and I thank you for that because I never think I'm funny. So when people give me that compliment,
say that to you a lot, right?
well, they do, but it's just like for
Yeah.
me, I'm just like, and I need to step into it more and like really own that and find what that is for me, right? But yeah, I start to really accept the compliment and really receive it. And so I
That's
thank you for thinking that.
that is, I'm so glad that you're saying that. And it's so interesting knowing you from when we were, I don't know, how old were we when we did that show? Probably like 25, 26, 27.
Possibly. I mean, I
She's got
was
cobwebs in her
possibly
throat.
okay. What was the year? That will help me.
Okay, good question. I
20,
think 2012? 2012.
2012.
I want to say 2012.
Okay, let's do the math. 2020, and I'm X amount of years old now. I've learned you don't say that anymore because I used to be very
Yeah.
proud of it. I'm still proud of it, but I used to be like, I am this age. And I took an acting class, and my acting teacher was like, don't do that. Never tell people, no. Well, because she was like, you don't want to get pigeonholed, blah, blah, blah. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay. So anyway, so I'm this amount of years old now, minus, would that be 12 years? Oh, gee, 12 years ago. Right?
No, Joan, 8 years ago. Joan, no.
12 years. Okay, 8 years.
Ago.
So 8 years. I was 23 years old. So I'm not going to do the math for y'all. If y'all want to do the math and figure out how I am now, that's up to you. But I was 20. I was
ageless.
Tender age. We were 23. I was 23.
Okay, then that is what I really wanted to figure out because that really interests me. Something just really sparked in me when I gave you that compliment and you responded that way because I think from the moment, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like from the moment I met you and everyone else was calling this out about us, they were like, they are so similar. Like they are so
hands down. Hands down. Just
you and I would always
the things that we think are funny and the way
yes.
joke.
Like people would,
it was just easy.
Yeah, and we were all. I think. Do you have siblings?
I do. I have one brother who's older than me, though, so I'm the baby.
See, exactly. I think that is a big part of it because we were in a van. You guys, we were in a giant van, like a 15-person passenger van. Everybody else in the cast lied and said they didn't have a driver's license, except for Joanie and myself, who are the younger siblings, the ones that are always trying to prove something. We were like, we have driver's license. So we had to drive a 15-person passenger van from New York City, famously not an easy place to drive, to Westchester with 15 actors in it. And you and I would always sit up front together and make each other laugh.
Like we were responsible for people's lives. That's kind of intimidating and scary and like a lot of pressure to put on a person.
Yes, but we handled it really well.
I mean,
we were like,
we rocked out in that big ass van.
But now that we're older, I am really working on accepting that kind of stuff because I think, at least for me, and tell me if I'm projecting this on you and this isn't how you feel, but at least for me, I'm always trying to make people laugh and always trying to be like a fun, lighthearted life of the party because it just is. That's the person that I'm attracted to and I want to be around. Like when I saw you, I was like, I'm gonna sidle up next to Joanie because like this is my type of person. But there comes a thing with that. But like I would want you to accept for yourself that everybody thinks you're fucking funny. So if I want that for Joanie, I need to want that for myself.
Yes, I can totally relate. And I think for me, the additional piece to that is like sometimes that is a bit of a weight because I do love to give joy, right? But then sometimes when I'm depleted, I may not have it to give, and then I feel guilty for not giving it, and then it's this kind of like thing of now I'm being a bad person because I don't want to give joy. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not that I don't want to give it, but like sometimes I just don't have it. I don't have the wherewithal in my space to kind of fill you up because I'm not full at the moment. And so it's just kind of that thing. So sometimes it becomes a job to be the light, sometimes
Yes.
it's weird.
Yes. And I think let's get into that. I want to first of all say I you have no pressure on yourself to be that person today or at
Mm-hmm.
all in the last several weeks,
Listen.
because what's been happening to Black people in this country is so fucked.
Yeah.
And how are you today? How are you feeling as far as you're feeling depleted or feeling like you have to bring joy to people?
Well, I think, and what's been happening, because I know a lot of my white friends have definitely reached out, have shared their feelings and thoughts and love and all of that, and it's really wonderful to receive it. But I think what's happening for me, as crazy of a time as that we're in, it's a crazy, scary, horrible, just all things bad. It still has that, I guess, the caveat that there's an enlightenment happening for a lot of people. You can say it's late, but at the end of the day, people are waking up. And at the end of the day, I think I'm waking up. Like, in my own Black space, am coming to terms with things that I don't know, things that I don't know enough about. And so, to answer your question, it's a kind of a two-part question. Having a child, having a Black boy, he allows me to not sink too deep, because there's this joy and light that he exudes without even trying. So with him, it keeps me in a lifted place. So for the most part, I am in a good space. But I think when I do sink into that dark space of looking at this Black boy that at 12, at 14, at any age could be taken from me, that takes me, that puts me in a space that I kind of have to like sit in and figure things out. And so what I have kind of, in finding my own voice, and when I speak to my white friends, I've just kind of been in a space of like letting them know it's great that you're bringing this information to me and you're bringing this love to me and this concern and this thoughtfulness and all of this wonderful stuff. But I need you to, I know, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We know, we've been at the party for a long time. So I need you to take this information to the world, be very transparent about where you stand when it comes to these issues, and don't hide and don't shy away from it. I think for one friend, I specifically said to her, I was like, you need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable for a while, and don't shy away from that. I think it's very easy to do that, and get into a comfortable space, and it's not my fight. It's not, concerning me. It's bad, but there's the barrier. No, you need to break through that barrier, and start having uncomfortable conversations with people that may not be like-minded as you, or, but yeah, conversations need to start happening to start,
Yeah.
helping to make a difference.
And
So,
don't fucking go to the white people listening. Don't go to the party that Black people have been forced to be throwing for hundreds of years and then be like, aren't I great that I came to the party? And then be like, I'm so tired at this party. I'm going to leave now.
that
Like,
that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, your white skin gives you the ability to not fully be invested.
exactly.
You
Yeah.
can do the things, say the things, wear the shirts, and do all the stuff. But at the end of the day, you can leave early if you want. You need to be comfortable with not leaving early, because when it gets really bad, which we are in that space,
Yeah.
like they're, and I think that's the thing. We're literally, Black bodies are literally being lynched today in
Yes.
2020. And so,
And we're being gaslit about it. And to gaslit the Black community about it, I think is like really makes me fucking sick to my stomach.
not
But they're
investigating, not
saying they're
taking them
suicides when
seriously.
they're
Yeah.
not. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like And yeah, it's our fucking job as white people and as non-black people of color, anyone who listens to this who is not black, it is our job to figure out a way to stand up against that and continue the conversation and move it forward without putting the
Mhm.
onus or pressure on black people.
To figure it
You
out by
know,
ourselves.
no. Or to even like I'm glad white people are reaching out to you if that is making you feel joy, but like I know of way too many white people who are like so deep in their white guilt that they haven't known about this for so long that they
Mhm.
are, you know, reaching out to their black friends being like, I see you, you're validated, you are valued. And it's
Just
like
to validate themselves.
themselves. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
no. Like no. And the thing is, I have been very blessed. Like I know of friends that literally have had to block people on their social media, have had to, disengage because when shit gets ugly, you see who people are. I personally have not had to have that. And I'm very thankful that the people that are in my life literally are like-minded and like-spirited. So like my space, I don't want to go and say sacred, but with the craziness that it's in the world that you're already going to see because it's there and it's happening, and because social media lets us be connected instantly to the world, my community, I guess, of people don't bring that to me. If that does that make sense?
Yes, and I don't think there's any shame in calling that space sacred. That's like
Yeah,
that's the thoughts and feelings from the people you trust
that
are
are
letting.
fed to me. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I don't scroll and see an all lives matter on my feed coming from someone I know and would consider them a friend or a close acquaintance or anything. I consider myself very lucky in that aspect, that I don't have to get into the clicking war or whatever. And that's not me anyway. I'm definitely not an internet troll in that way. But I, I would listen. I did have to get into someone's ass, like a little tiny bit. I mean, a tiny, tiny bit. And this is coming from me, like that. I'm not that person. So it was
No,
somebody where I'm like,
I've never seen you be that person, but I'm excited to hear about it.
it was so minor. It was so minor, but like a brand that I follow, they were, supporting Black businesses, and they were like saying, hey, under our umbrella, support Black business and blah blah blah. And of course somebody support our businesses. And I said, Karen, and
Oh
I
my
just kind of went it,
God.
and I think what boggles my brain is that at the very basic level, why are you so butthurt at the term Black Lives Matter and
Hmm.
thinking that us saying that negates everyone else?
Yeah.
Like, and I just saw a post the other day that just kind of like, I was like, this argument is dead. This right here, it's dead. Um, Somebody said all lives are not getting lynched every day, every day. All lives are not, that's
Yeah.
not happening to you. So it's just stop doing that. Like right is right, and
Yeah.
wrong is wrong. And for someone to want to be treated with just the basics of decent, humanity, and why can you not get on board with that and not want to have a debate about all lives and everybody? And we get it, but all lives are not dealing with what we are dealing with. And so we're just saying we don't want to deal with that anymore. And Black lives matter. They matter. It and it's like, I think to keep talking about it would be like a cycle of saying the same thing over and over again. But it's just,
But you
I
know
don't
what?
understand.
People need to hear it over and over again because that is the unfortunate. I think truth of this is like, I think about the white people I know, like in my hometown growing up in Ohio,
Mhm.
and they like again, like I don't want to put the onus on a black woman to like have to teach these people. I don't want to put the onus on Joanie to have to teach these people, but like
Mhm.
white people will listen to this, and just having heard you say that and like having a connection to somebody that they don't normally have this connection with will
Mhm.
matter. It will
Yeah.
make putting this into their ears, and not just you, but like all the work that every person is collectively doing and we need to continue doing to support the Black Lives Matter movement. It
Mhm.
it is like, people are dumb. They have to have things explained to them.
Well,
They
because
are Go
the
ahead.
thing is, like, I support seeing justice for everyone.
Hmm.
But I think where the Black Lives Matter movement gets specific is that we're not being offered or the word is escaping me, but like we don't get justice. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Correct. Yeah.
so society and the world and government are saying you don't matter. So we are saying we matter. We're not
We
saying you
matter.
don't.
Yeah.
We're not saying X, Y, and Z doesn't, but we are taking a stake in a claim and saying that our Black lives matter. And I'm saying that in my space. I'm not gonna argue with you about you and any because I'm not. It's not. That's not
It has
happening.
nothing to do with
It
them.
has
Yeah. It
nothing to
has
do
nothing to do.
with
All
me
you're saying,
wanting to
yeah.
stand in my space and just say, you know what, I matter. It's an affirmation. So why can't I say that affirmation and shout it from the rooftops and you not be mad? I don't. I and want to argue it and debate it and not just see it for what it is. Me wanting to have that. I don't get it. I
It's
just.
it's a total like white privilege wind at my back thing. It's like the people having that argument or thinking those things really do convince themselves that what it's the age old like protagonist versus antagonist storyline that we see in movies, and it's like why telling stories is important is like the bad guy never thinks that they're the bad guy in a
Mm-hmm.
movie, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
Like they think like if you look at any movie or book we've ever read, like like these you map that onto these white people, like the person doing the bad thing in the movie thinks that they are doing it for the good of everybody. These people saying all lives matter, I think they really think that they are trying to say, yes, your life matters and everyone's does. What they
We
don't
all have to be included.
understand,
No.
no, this isn't about that. The whole idea behind Black Lives Matter is a positive, beautiful, uplifting statement. Let it be that
And let it, and
for
that's
Black
it.
people. Yeah,
That's it. And I think
join them.
it's it going back to what I was saying about how within the current state of the world, the change that's happening in me, because I feel like the thing about what's with COVID-19 and how the world literally shut down, people are having to sit with themselves in ways that they probably wouldn't have to if they weren't having to be still, right? um and so what that is doing for me is making me think, and the work that I have to do as a Black person to be educated and informed and know what's happening and what I can do to help change it, that's already a lot. Like,
Hmm.
because I have to deal with my Black skin being a threat to someone, and then I have to also then arm myself to combat that ignorance and that ugliness. That's a lot. And so for you to be able to sit on the opposite side of the fence without this intimidation, this thing that makes people scared of you, or whatever the case may be, and to just do work that can go in a positive direction, like why, like
Why
just
wouldn't you do that?
why would you do that? Like I
It's
Yeah.
really, yeah, it really is crazy. It's like this drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race, Peppermint, was talking with another drag queen from the show, Bob the Drag Queen.
Hmm.
They're both black, and Peppermint is also trans. And she was talking about, she was like, I'm trans and I marched for marriage equality. She was like, I'm not a gay man, but I walked down the street and I marched so that gay men could marry other gay men. She's like, I'm a
Hmm.
trans woman. That wasn't really my march. So I
Hmm.
don't understand why, if I can do that for somebody else, why everyone isn't thinking and feeling, oh, these are people that need help, that
That
need to be
deserve the thing.
bringing
Like,
awareness, that deserve to have people saying your lives matter. Why aren't you screaming and shouting and trying to help the Black Lives Matter movement?
it's just ignorance and
Yeah.
ugh.
And I think a lot of it, unfortunately, I think is like a fear of doing or saying the right or wrong thing as a white person. And it's like that cannot be the center of the conversation. That cannot be the
Yeah.
center of what's happening. Like when I texted
And
you, I
I
was
oh no, go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. When I texted you to
Mm.
do this, I was a little bit like, oh, I hope I called my friend Clyde, who's a black man, a couple weeks ago, and he picked up the phone. He was like, if you're calling to talk about the black experience in America, I cannot. He was like, I love you. I cannot talk about this with another white person right now. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, thank you for checking me. I was calling to see how you're doing in regards to what's going on here. But like, I, I can't, like, the other option for me was to not call him, but like, he's one of my best friends. I wanted
Yeah.
to check in. So it can't be about who cares? You could have texted me back and been like, Tim, if you want to talk about the Black Lives Matter movement, I don't have the capacity for that and I don't want to
And I
do that.
think that's the thing, like going back to saying white people need to be uncomfortable. I mean, be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Um,
Yes.
because that's gonna be a thing. Not everybody is gonna want to talk about it. Not everybody's gonna be, open to want to educate or
Mm-hmm.
offload, their stuff because it is a lot, and we shouldn't have to. Like,
Yes,
I
exactly.
I should be okay with just saying no, or whoever, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. And I think for me, when it's coming from someone that I consider close, you know, it doesn't feel as insane as if literally you're going through your phone Rolodex and you're like, who says Rolodex? Anyways, you're going through your phone
Joan actually
and
has
you're like,
files. She has different little files in her phone, a little Rolodex.
and you're like, let me call every, and let me just, and it's like, who are you? Like, what? So, and that's another thing. I think white people in general read the room. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't talk to, you know what I'm saying, John, and y'all don't have any sort of rapport except y'all, say did a reading together, many moons ago, and you're checking in. Hey, John, I just want you to read the room. Don't text me. Don't text John.
Text
Go
John.
into your own space and figure things out for yourself. Don't text John and say, hey, John, I just want to know, and I want you to know I see you. And John's going to be like, but I haven't seen you, and I don't know how long. We got to read the room. Read the room, but
Pick up a book, watch the documentary. Don't
for
text
yourself.
John.
Yeah,
For
don't do
yourself.
that. But it's when it's coming from genuine people who, like, I have genuinely shared space with, know about my life and my kid, and like I talk, like it's coming from a place I still have the same response, like, hey, thank you, I appreciate you, but I definitely, the work that I would need from you, because I've got my own work to do, of figuring things out and like I said, being an effective change agent. But you need to do that work for yourself. If you're looking for something when you're reaching out to someone, you're reaching out for the wrong reasons, and that don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are a million ways to educate yourself. Yeah, think like exactly like you're saying, think of it like you would anything else. It just is
Yep.
that you white people finally started caring about this,
Yep.
and you should have been for years and years and years, and now you are uncomfortable and you don't know what to do with how uncomfortable you
Yeah.
are. But
Yeah.
treat it,
Yeah.
like you're saying, treat it like anything else. If you would normally call John to hang out with him or go get coffee, then call him.
Then call
Like,
John. But if you would not, don't try to release your own guilt
mm-hmm.
and by calling John. And I think a good resource, for folks listening, I have a really good friend who just has been so instrumental in using her social media platform to just spread information and like connect people with other people, basically connect white people with Black people of color that are doing amazing things, whether it be in the industry that we're in or just in general that has information. But my friend Zanya Love, it's ZonyALove. She is constantly just posting information, right? And I feel like in this age of wanting to, I thought my child was on his way. Sorry.
That was so
I
cute.
heard the feet. I heard the feet. And so I was like, and I forgot to lock the
He
door.
can come on. He can come on.
He's hey. But yeah, she's just doing a really amazing job of just like, and I think that's another thing that people don't think about. Someone who is taking the time, even in the smallest capacity, of posting something and sharing something, like that takes an emotional toll of giving that, of being that giver, so think about that too, just, and having that kind of I don't want to say compassion, but just knowing, I keep hearing the feet.
So cute.
But just knowing, that people do want to share the information and get it out there, because like at the end of the day, knowledge is, it's power, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not enough to say you don't know anymore, especially in the age of technology, the way we have it and the way things are just instantly at your fingertips. It's just not, it's BS to say I didn't know.
And that's the biggest thing. I hope if you're a white person listening to this, I think that is one of the biggest racist microaggressions that people do is white people saying, I don't know. I didn't know. And I still don't know. It's like, if your parents are doing that, if your aunt is doing that, if someone is doing that, it is now our responsibility as white people to tell them, give them a book. Like, like
Yeah.
fucking talk to them. Buy them a
Talk
copy of
to,
Me and
like,
White Supremacy. Like, do something.
the
But you
small
gotta
thing.
speak
And
up. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Should we talk about this reading that you're doing?
Yeah, I would love to.
That's so
So
exciting.
so like you said, it's called The Danger, a homage to Strange Fruit. And Stacey Rose, who is an amazing playwright. She originally wrote it when Eric Garner was murdered. Um, and that was 2014, I do believe. Um, and here
Yeah,
we are
I'm pretty
6
sure
years
that's right.
later, 2014. Here
Yeah.
we are 6 years later, and we're literally living in this space again. Like it almost feels like Groundhog Day, like that we're literally doing the same thing. And so it's going to be a Zoom reading, which I think is just really phenomenal, because it's not, she wrote it with the thought of like an orchestra. So many things are happening at one time. And how our director, Tiffany Nicole Green, is going to basically direct this orchestration virtually. I think for me as an actor, I would love to record it and see how it all comes together, because I think it's going to be really, really, really awesome. There's music in it, and it's just a really beautiful piece. It's funny, it's heavy, but it's timely, and it's our story, and it's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. So that is happening on Friday, the 26th at 7 p.m. I don't have. I think it's going to be like a. If you follow me, I'll post about it. But if you also follow Stacy Rose, she will post about it as well. And yeah, it's going to
That
be
sounds
a.
great.
I think it's a free link. I do believe that you can just like click it and it'll directly go. I'm not sure, so I don't quote me on
Yeah.
that. But
And we'll put the links to how to follow Joan in the description of this podcast if you guys
sure.
want to watch that, because that sounds fucking awesome. My
Yeah, we.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say we did 2 readings of it initially, and then we staged it at the Jack Theater here in Brooklyn, New York. So that was great to go from page to stage in that way. Like, so I've been a part of the project since the first reading, I do believe. And so to go from reading it out loud with like minimal, stage direction to really fully mounting it and seeing it have life in that way was really, really awesome. So it's a beautiful piece. I'm very proud of it and proud to be a part of it.
That's really exciting. I can't wait to watch that. And I think
Yeah.
a big hope is that what's happening in the theater community is going to give way more voice to Black artists and Black people. And that's another thing where like I'm not super in that world anymore. I'm like mostly doing stand up now, but
Yeah. Which is
I
so
was thanks, it's been really fun.
So cool.
But I was like deeply involved in the theater. I mean, I was at that equity building signing up every single day, dreaming of getting a scene. I was deeply involved. I was on Broadway.
That was literally your love letter to theater for like that little section.
Yeah. That's the pull from the show that we use. I was deeply involved in theater. I mean, I was in that world, and it is crazy how the white blindness of it all, right? Of like, and that is through this all, I'm really trying to hold myself accountable and do my work of where I need to step up and do better. And Joan, I look back at some of the shit I wrote and I'm like, fuck, that sucked. I was like that,
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to, in 2012, I wish I was educated and I wish I knew better, but I didn't. So I'm sitting in that uncomfortability and realizing like, and I think for people who write jokes, this is a huge moment because those little micro things that we have said or done or put into sitcoms. I'm rewatching 30 Rock right now, and I love Tina Fey. I truly think she is one of the most genius writers of all time. But there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff in there that I'm like, damn, I really wish that you knew better at the time, and I hope that you wouldn't write something like that now. And I hope people like that who are really in power are really taking the time to figure
kind of reflect on how they can. Yeah, I mean, I think as a comedian, I feel like that's where the space of, I guess, freedom that it's all on the table and we're all in this together. But then having the I guess
wherewithal or
the wherewithal or just the education to know some things. Yeah, we don't like what does that balance look like moving forward? That consciousness.
Yeah. And the truth is, like, if you're a really, really, really good comedian, I truly believe you're gonna fuck up. Like, that's part of it. You're gonna my definition of comedy is saying something that is universally true to as many people as possible, hitting that truth button, right? Something that people find really true, but then saying it in a unique way and a twist that nobody else would say, right?
Yeah.
So like, if you're gonna do that, then you are going to cross the line many times throughout your career. You're trying to do it or whatever. It's your responsibility to figure out okay, I crossed that line. I will not do that again. I crossed that
Yeah.
line. What Chelsea Peretti says, she's this like awesome female comedian. She says, um, if you're going to say something that you think is offensive, or if somebody tells you it's offensive or whatever, before you say that, what you need to think to yourself is this worth it? You can say the most offensive thing in the world if you want. Anyone can say anything they want, especially in
Yeah.
stand up. But is it worth it? Is that if you're going to make a joke that's a microaggression against Black people or Asian people or Latinx people or homophobic or misogynist or whatever it is that joke that good? Is
Yeah.
that worth it to say
Yeah.
what you're saying? And that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. That's my big like mission, because as somebody who puts stuff out into the world, it's like it does make it fucking matters. It makes a huge
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah. And the fact that you're thinking about it and taking that much ownership and thinking about it, like that matters. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a big deal. So
And like, have you seen Eddie Murphy's Raw, the special from like the late 80s? It's
it's
so
funny.
what were you
No,
say?
no, I was
Okay.
gonna say because it was so raw, I was never allowed to watch it. And then growing up, I didn't trickle back to watch Hater. So I'm not in the know. I'm not in the know.
It's wild. Like
Yeah.
he's obviously one of the funniest people to ever live, and
Yeah.
it's some of it is so funny,
I
and he makes like he makes like one of the most homophobic jokes I've like ever heard in a special, and
mm-hmm.
it still when I think about it, it stings me. Like I'm like that hurts. What you just said to this group of people that then gets trickled out to them hearing that, thinking it's cool, and then saying it to other people is like completely contributes to me getting called a fag on the playground. And it,
Yeah.
but the thing is, he's older now, and like I'm sure he wouldn't make that joke now, and it
No,
kind of doesn't.
I think I did see an interview that he did that he has talked about that. Like he's like, yo, I watched it again and I was like he was taken aback by himself. So yeah.
And that's him doing the work. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to make this clear. I'm not trying to compare the experience of Black people to the LGBTQ or to being fucking gay. But as far as like joke writing and how you put stuff out into the world, it is,
Yeah.
so there are going to be people who will give you validation for making a racist joke, who say, no, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not a big deal. It's whatever. Or there might even be Black people who would say that to
Yeah.
me. Right. But you have to, this is why it's important right now for everybody to be doing the work on their own and figuring it out. What are
I think
your morals? Like,
what
like you
happens
said
with
earlier,
that,
what's right and what's wrong?
it starts to build. Like I feel like if your conscience lets one thing slide, then you know what I'm saying, then it can kind of grow into a snowball and be a thing. So yeah, being conscious of it in the onset of like taking ownership of like, okay, this is what I want to put out to the world, and this is how I want to frame my craft early on, so that later on you're not making those moments that may like have a really really weighted effect on somebody, and then you're like, oh, I didn't know. No, we can't go to I didn't know. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's important.
And yeah. And I think, our style of comedy, you and me, is like about lifting shit up and like being silly together and not, I think for the most part, not
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
expense of any marginalized group. Can we accept,
Mm-mm.
can
Like
we tell people, what we used to do to each other before we would walk on stage?
oh, you're breaking up a little bit.
Oh no.
I was a little bit, yeah.
Oh no. Okay, we'll wrap up soon then. Did you hear what I said?
Oh no. I think I did, and that's what I was chuckling and I was laughing because I'm like, nobody else is gonna think that's funny. Nobody else is gonna get it, and I'm like, I don't know. That might be just our thing.
That's just our thing. We won't tell you what it was. We won't tell you what it was, but just
It was
know
not bad. It was
it was
not
not
bad.
bad. It was not bad. But we would go up to each other every single day. When you're doing a theater show, you do the same show over and over. So it can get a little like, you want
You
to
gotta
make
you
it
gotta
fun for
make it
yourself.
fresh.
Yeah. And so I would run up to Joan and I would tell her secret information that I just heard that happened on the news right before she
That's the
walks
best way to describe
in.
it.
I'd be like, this event just happened. And she'd be like, what? And then she would run up to me right before I would, because right before you go on stage, you're so vulnerable. You're so in your head. You're so like, oh God, what's about to happen? And we would just fuck with each other.
You gotta break that. You gotta break that. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, that's what I love about live theater, because at the end of the day, I'm the kind of person, once I start laughing,
It's over.
yeah, it's done. It's done. I think there were a couple of nights during I don't even know what song it was, but it was when all of us were in the fog.
Oh,
And
yes, yes, yes.
something happened. Somebody made somebody laugh, and it was a very serious moment. Like, we're supposed to be, and I was just, and of course, for anybody listening who's ever been to Westchester Broadway Theater, it's a dinner theater. And literally, I'd be looking at somebody in their meal, eating their meal. I mean, trying to contain laughter in a way that, like, you clearly know I'm laughing. And yeah. Once I
I
start
just
laughing,
remember
it's pretty much a wrap.
I remember all of you walking off stage and like falling into a pile on the ground, tears streaming down your faces. Like, and then there was the day that I was understudying one of the bad guys, like one of the antagonists, and
Yes,
I never had an understudy rehearsal. They just were like, okay, he's not on today, you're going on. And I was
you're
like,
in.
I had understudy rehearsals for like the music, but I'd never done
Yeah.
like a put in with you guys or anything. So I went out there and there was like some sort of performance he was supposed to do. And during the performance, I dropped into the splits.
I was getting ready to say you and your high kick.
Oh, yeah. Famous. I'm famous for the high kick.
Yo, that would take me out every single time, because it was like it got higher and higher every number, every show.
And I wasn't I playing like an old man? I was playing like like a 65-year-old judge.
It was
And
the
yet
best.
there I was kicking my leg.
Kicking my, yes, it was the best.
That was a fun.
And
That
remember,
was a fun.
I was pregnant in that show, but I wasn't supposed to be. I rallied to be pregnant in the show. And at first I was putting a scarf under my dress, and I was like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna take our creative license, artistic license, and I'm gonna be pregnant. And then after the creative team started to see me more and more, they actually gave me a pregnancy belly.
That is so funny. Make your role matter. We're like,
I need to send it to you. I have the picture of us backstage. This was pre-pregnancy belly, and I was still using my scarf, but I have a picture of you and I
oh
with
my
my
God, yes.
pregnancy belly.
Send that to me because I'm gonna put it in the show notes and I'll put it on Instagram. Wait, and also I will never forget this. Your pregnancy belly, in the belly, it said Amy Spanger, the Broadway star who was in like Wedding Singer and Tick Tick Boom and Rock of Ages, and she's done like 8 Broadway shows.
Oh,
Kiss Me
wow!
Kate. I remember looking at that and being like, this is a Broadway legend's fake pregnancy belly.
Well, maybe that juju got into me, and Broadway is like coming to me shortly. Whenever we come back.
Broadway, if you're listening, get Joan on stage. Joan,
Listen,
what do you want to do? What roles do you want to do? Or if they don't exist yet, what do you want to see written or created for Joanie Anderson?
that is my favorite thing. I always say that I don't want to maybe say my Broadway debut per se, but I feel like, yeah, I'm gonna say my Broadway debut. Yep, I'm saying it. Is a show that hasn't been written yet. Like, I would love to originate a character and kind of breathe life into her for the first time, and discover her and like, figure out all the things and do that, and be the first one. So I think somebody who was just very well flushed out in the sense that she was a real person, and like I want to laugh and be funny, and I want to have and I want to be serious, like that dramatic moment as well, like in a scene. I want to do it all. Like I want it to all be encompassed in one character. And maybe she should be pregnant. I don't know.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think my Broadway debut in A Perfect World hasn't been written yet. And so I would be the first to do it.
I love that. Do you want it to be
That
a
would be
musical
amazing.
or do you want it to be a straight play?
Oh, a straight play.
Oh,
a straight play. Yeah.
Put it
I
out in the
love
universe.
musical theater. I love musical theater, and I want to keep doing it. But I do love a good straight play that just is so meaty, and
Me
you
too.
just like are sitting at the edge of your seat the whole show, like, because I feel like it is harder. Like I think musical theater, literally the music and dancing, it takes you on that emotional ride effortlessly. But for a play to be able to do that and captivate its audience from the word go to the end just off of its writing alone, I just think is powerful. So I would love, that to be the first. Mm-hmm.
I love it. I'm the same way. My boyfriend is like a musical theater dancer, singer. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's like musical theater through and through. And I've tried to take him to plays before, and he's always like,
Okay.
and I'm like, I'm a musical theater nerd. Like I love hearing people just like, I mean, you know me, like just like singing. But
Yeah.
to me, like my favorite thing that I like when I see a really good play and it just like
Mm-hmm.
fucks up the way that you think and the way that you like
Yeah.
see and approach the world, I think is so cool. Did you see Slave play on Broadway last year?
I did. And it was, so first of all, I saw it. My friend Ebony Flowers, she was the understudy for the lead, and she went on. And so I was able to see it with her. So that was amazing and riveting, because it's like, it's an emotional thing going to a Broadway show as a theater person. So like any theater kids listening, it's powerful, because you're
It
looking
really
at the
is.
stage and you're like, that's gonna be me one day, blah, blah, blah. And you
You're
love the
so
show, whatever.
close. You can
You're so
touch it.
close. But then
Yeah.
when you go to a show and you see someone who you admire, but like personally, it's even that much more like of a freak out emotional roller coaster. But I was
It's
sitting
so
in the
emotional.
front row center. And so it was definitely interesting because it is such a raw piece. So being that close, you gotta literally just jump in and buckle up, because like you can't really go anywhere because you're right there.
Yeah.
And I
That's
think the
intense. I would not want
takeaway
to be
for
in the
me,
front row for that show. Like you're right. You need like your own
no,
space to process what you're taking in.
yeah, and you can't. But I think too, for me, the set had these glass panels, so you can see you experiencing the
Mm-hmm.
show. And for me, I could see white people experiencing the show.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a show in of itself. Like just watching and just seeing what their reactions would be. And there were some moments that, how do I explain it? When the playwright would take jabs at white people and the white experience of how they are to us,
Mm-hmm.
I always wondered, were white people getting it? Like, how was it affecting them? Like, how was it hitting them? Because clearly, the flip side to that, when any of the Black characters would have their moments, to me, they were written comedically. And maybe that was to break up the the weight of the show, the heaviness of the show. But of course, white people would laugh. I wasn't laughing because I didn't think it was funny. But like when it came to seeing themselves depicted on stage, I always wondered what they were thinking. Like how is this affecting you? And not only what they were thinking, but were you listening? Like, were you getting the point that the playwright is trying to convey? But I think like for me, just going to see the show, and again, seeing my friend in the show, like it made it beautiful because I was just so excited for her. And that was her Broadway debut as well. So
that's amazing. That's how I felt seeing
it was dope.
My dear friend Sutton Foster in Thoroughly Modern Millie. When I saw Sutton Foster,
I have a funny story about
I'm
that.
just kidding. She's not my friend. Imagine. Wait, I want to hear your Sutton. No! I want to hear your Sutton Foster story, but also, that is, I'm so glad that you brought this up because I think it's so fascinating. I think that play didn't get seen by enough people. I really hope that they like make it a movie or something, because I thought that I took my white ass parents to go see Slave Play because I was like, I hear this is incredible. I think you're really gonna like it. My parents are super liberal, but like we're saying, every white person has blind spots and they have so much they need to learn. And so I was like, I was like, I know that they'll like it because they're liberal and whatever, but I wondered if some of that was gonna make them uncomfortable. And I had to like check my own self too during it. But as soon as we sat down and I saw those mirrors as the back wall, I turned to my dad and I was like, I think that's a genius set design.
It's on purpose.
Just show everybody, not only just like having you watch the white people watching it, but like, I mean, look at how many white people are in here.
Yeah.
Like, these are the
to
people
see the blackness, you know, like this. It just
yes, yeah. And like that's the whole thing with Hamilton too, right? Is like they made this incredible show featuring so many people of color, but when the first 3 years of it coming out, they were selling almost entirely white tickets because the price was so high, and white people have that advantage in this country. It's crazy. It was I thought that was like such a. And anybody listening to this, I bought 2 copies of Slave Play to reread, one for me and one for my boyfriend to read. And I can put the link in the show notes too, but you can buy it from Black-owned bookstores rather than Amazon.com. And it is such a fascinating and fucking great read.
Yeah, I feel like I need to reread it because I auditioned for the understudy part too.
Oh my God, you would be so good as Keisha.
It's a lot. Like seeing the show, like reading it on the page is one thing, but like just seeing like my friend do the show, it's heavy. It's heavy. And so I just was like for an actor getting a Broadway audition, I made it. You can't tell me I have not made it, but it wasn't even about booking the job, but I was like, I'm going in for Broadway. So, but no, yeah, like it. No, that's what I was gonna say. I read it for the purposes of being in the know to go into the audition and have like enough, information to fully, perform the sides. But of course, in reading it, like I'm just ingesting it very quickly. So to read it leisurely and actually give it that time, I would love to reread it again and kind of. And one of my castmates in The Danger, she was in Slave Play too.
Oh damn!
Yeah, Shalia. She played one of the doctors.
Oh my God, they were so good.
Yeah. She's amazing. She's amazing.
Both those girls, I was like, sorry, go ahead.
What? No, go ahead.
I was gonna say they just like perfectly captured what like one, what a therapist is like, but two, like what a person that the Gen Z of it all, of like, yeah, I'm feeling this and I'm going through this with you, and we're all sort of.
I enjoyed them.
They were great.
them a lot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But she won the Antonio for her role in
Oh
that show.
shit. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was cool. I'm very, very, very proud of her.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to wrap up, and I want you to be able to go play with your son. But thank you
Oh,
so
he's
much.
probably. Oh, let me tell you my Sutton Foster
Oh
story.
my God, yes, please.
The funny thing is, it has nothing to do with her, but so I was singing. I was singing in a gala performance for Red House.
Oh, hey.
Mm-hmm. And they were announcing the new artistic director, which I had no idea. And I was like, I think prior to the gala, I was like racking my brain of what to sing, and I was like, I should do, and I was freaking out about it, because this was actually my first time singing since having the baby, and so I hadn't been singing at all. So I was like, Joanie, don't make this rocket science. Do something you know that you've practiced or whatever. And I changed my mind literally on the bus heading to Syracuse. And so I chose Gimme Gimme as one of my songs.
Hell yeah.
I will never be Millie, right? You know, but I love the
Why?
song. Exactly why, but
They had an Asian girl do it at Paper Mill. I know that's not the same thing, but it doesn't always have to
did
be a white
they?
bitch playing Millie. Oh yeah, that girl who was in I think they were fucking with a lot of like the casting of like what people think about different races playing different parts. I want to see a black Millie. Fuck. I want to see you as Millie. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, one day. But so I get there and I'm going over the song, and then the I forgot her title. Lord. Anyways, she came up to me and she was like, "So we're announcing the new artistic director," and I was like, "Great, excited." And then she was like, she was like, "It's Hunter Foster," and I was like, "Oh God!" I was like, so here's my thing. I'm like, the fact that it's her brother, my brain was like, Sutton was gonna be there watching me sing "Gimme Gimme," and I was like, "Oh God, oh he knows how the song should go." Like I was freaking out.
That's so
And
funny.
of course, I had to make a speech prior to singing the song because I wanted him to know that I wasn't trying to, schmooze or anything like that. I was like, but since you're here, I was like, I'm gonna sing this little ditty. I hope you like it. So, and so I sang it, and it was great. We had a really good time, and I actually came back in the fall to work with him in Rent. That was his inaugural season at Red House or whatever, and so it was just really, it was funny. Like it was just a cute moment.
That is amazing. Yeah, for any non-theater nerd listeners, Hunter Foster is Sutton Foster's brother, who is also on Broadway and probably saw
Yes,
her do that a million times. So
a
that
million
is,
times. So I was like,
I would have been
I
freaking
I
out.
gotta, yeah. I was like, because I want to put my own stank on it
Yeah.
and be my own Millie, but I was like, I also wanted to be fabulous, right? So it was super funny and a lot of press, sure, but
A lot of press.
It was cool. So,
Oh my God, I love that.
yeah.
I love that. I love you. Thank you so much for
I
doing
love you
this.
too, Tim. You're welcome. This has been really, really great. It was a really great, like, just kind of going back to like how I'm feeling. Like it was nice to just have this space that was just free and I could just talk and kind of like say what I've been thinking and feeling.
I'm so
So
glad. I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people. And again,
I hope so.
not wanting to put the onus on you or any Black people to teach people, but I do think this is going to educate a lot of people. And thank you for doing
You're
that.
welcome.
And thank you for being yourself and being my friend. I really, this is a hard time for so many people for several reasons. And
So many
I just
reasons.
love
It's
you. And
crazy.
it's really, really good to see your face. And that's the one thing about quarantine that I'm really grateful for. It is making me do stuff like this, where like
Yeah.
normally doing this podcast, I would just find somebody in LA and we would, do
Hmm.
it in person. But it's making me like pick up the phone and call friends I haven't talked to in so long. And it's
No, it's
so good to
crazy
catch
because
up with you.
I'm not a phone person. Like I love, you know,
One on
physical
one.
contact.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's really made me like connect with people or try to, because I'm still like the thing is for me, quarantine has been an experience because I'm literally in a New York apartment, which honestly, thank God, it's a pretty spacious New York apartment. So I'm very, very thankful and blessed for that. But I'm still in a New York apartment, with no backyard, with a 2-year-old and my fiance, and it's kind of like, ah! But what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought that fast. Oh, I'm still like a homebody. So like I'm kind of fine just being still, I
Hmm.
don't need to be out and about. I Unless like you're a close personal friend, I'm not like I'm forcing myself to connect more, like because I know that that matters. Like it matters to me, in maintaining like genuine connections with people. And like other people aren't like me. Other people do need that connection. So it's like I need to not be a hermit and like reach out to people and like and talk and engage and know how people are doing and how they're feeling and things like that. So it's I, it's easy to be very, I guess, stuck in the darkness of everything.
Hmm.
But I think just kind of like finding the positives and what you're able to do and accomplish and despite kind of everything that's going on and try to find the joy and find the light. So I hope
Yeah.
I hope
And
people are able to do that.
this is a good way to shake shit up for yourself. Like, I mean,
Literally.
to bring it all back to earlier, if you're a white person who's been ignoring what's been happening to black people in this country, this is a good way to shake shit up in your brain. If you're a person sitting around in
Mm-hmm.
quarantine who is sad and depressed and alone and you don't like the phone, because that's how I was. I
Mm.
just I reached a point where I was like so deep and low in this that I was like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to start calling friends from college who I haven't talked to in a long time. And it has been such, now I look forward to it. I try to do something like this
Oh
every
yay.
couple
Mm-hmm.
of days where I like call
Yay,
somebody
that's
I haven't talked to.
awesome.
And it helps so much. And I don't like the phone either, but
Yeah.
like it's been so nice to just connect with people and remember that like everything in the world doesn't have to be goal oriented. We don't have to be like thinking about those Broadway dreams every
Oh my
minute. Like
gosh. That I
you can
think
just
that
scab.
for me has been, I'm still dealing with it. Like I see people on my social media that are being so creative and like finding their outlets and their niches in this quarantine time. And like I'm wiping poo off me. Like literally yesterday, yo, until you've had somebody else's, feces on you, I don't think you've lived, So that's been my
Oh,
experience
Joan,
sometimes.
Joan, I'm a gay man in America. All I do is have people's feces on me. You, you're worried
Listen.
about your son. I'm worried about my boyfriend in the next room. I'm like, keep him out of here. He's about to poo all over me.
It's
We,
a lot. Listen, it's a lot. It's a lot.
it
So
was
listen,
such an adult conversation. It was such a mature conversation until I had to say
you
that.
always listen. I think it's just human nature to kind of just give it layers, give it different colors. You know what I'm
What a
saying?
beautiful spin on that.
But yeah, the pressure to be creative during this time that I think people can put on them, I'm putting on myself. Like it's like I've gotta find some content that I can put into the world. Like it's a lot. It's a lot. And then you're also freaking out because the world is in the state that it is. So it's just like it's a lot. It's a lot. So giving yourself grace to be still when you have to be still, to be quiet when you need to be quiet. But also, I think, and just to kind of like button my thoughts, everybody may not be a frontliner, right? Everybody may not be the person that goes out and gets right up at, in the face of all of this craziness. I'm thankful for those people. I'm very supportive of those folks. But I think find what you're passionate about when it comes to this fight, and hone in on how you can be effective in that thing, whether it's making calls or sending emails or being support to people that are on the front lines, maybe like taking up donations or something like that to be of service for them. But don't get bogged down. And I say this to my Black listeners specifically: don't get bogged down in or defeated if you don't know where you fit yet. Allow yourself the grace to figure it out and to find it. Because I know that's what I'm trying to do. You know, definitely making calls and emails, because I am here with a kid that's helpful for me. But don't feel like you're not woke enough. Don't feel like you're not just give yourself grace, because this is a troublesome time for everybody. So giving yourself the grace, to figure it out.
Beautifully said, Joanie. I think that's 100%. I think that is just a phenomenal sentiment to leave people with. And like we were talking about off pod before we recorded, like we've all been gaslit.
Off pod, that's so cool.
Off pod.
Yeah.
We've all been gaslit. Black people, white people, Latinx people, Asian people. We've all been gaslit by this country, by social studies class. Like we were talking about, like so many people weren't educated on June about Juneteenth. Me, you, lots of Black people in this country, a lot of white people.
It's insane.
We've all been gaslit. So it's like everybody grant yourself grace. Still keep doing the work, especially white people, but like grant yourselves grace that like we are all waking up, and it's okay to fuck up or not feel like you're enough for a couple of hours, but you are. Where can people find you on the internet? I'm gonna put it in the show notes.
Interwebs. Well, my Instagram handle is wait for it because it's so cool. It's not, but I think it's dope. It's JO dot KNEE, right? So it's Joanie. When I came up with that, you couldn't tell me that I didn't like create the atom. I thought I was like, this is the handle of all handles. But
I could just see you stomping around your apartment being like, I did it. I I came up with, oh my God. Oh, look at me go.
That's literally, no, because remember the days of AIM and like AOL? I had like the corniest handle. Like it was just, everybody had the coolest ones. And I was just
What was yours?
Oh, it was Miss Lady H2O. What does that even mean? Miss Lady.
She is a woman. And just so you know, again, for a second time, she's a woman. She's Miss Lady, and she loves hydration.
See, you gave it some flair. I was like, what is that? So when JO.KNEE came into the picture, mic drop. That's it.
That's it. My first AIM screen name was Bud 2005. Because because that's like a very straight thing to do, is they call each other Bud, and I thought that was like hiding me. And then 2005, Joanie,
nobody knows.
Because you're gonna be so mad. That was the year I thought I would graduate high school. Bitch, I graduated high school in 2006. Oh no! Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
No, I didn't get any of that, Tim.
Okay, that's okay. I'll re-edit it so it'll go nicely into the pod. Am I there?
Okay, because I was like,
My screen name. You hear me?
Yes.
My first screen name was Bud 2005 because I thought I was gonna graduate high school in 2005. I graduated in 2006. I did the math wrong as a 5th grader. And accidentally made my screen name the wrong graduation year.
Wait, and you couldn't change it? Oh, because probably 2000.
I don't know how. It was
I
out
didn't
there.
know
The
how.
brand was out there. The brand was already out there. It was Bud 2005.
And
And
you
then
had
after that,
to stick with it.
I had to stick with it. Then after that, I changed it to living in the fast lane because I got upgraded to the faster lane in the swim team.
But do you understand the stories? Like there is history with these handles, okay? Miss Lady H2O, I ain't got shit to say about that. I got nothing. Miss Lady Water. Miss Lady Water.
So you can follow Joanie at Miss Lady H2O on watch her reading next Friday. Do you know if that's the same time as RuPaul's Drag Race, which I recap for a website? Do you know if we're gonna be able to watch it after it's live? Like,
I
will it still be
don't
up?
know, but I will find out ASAP so I can give you that information. Mm-hmm.
Great. Can't wait because I really want to watch that. And listeners, please watch that. Keep up with Joanie at joe.nee on Instagram. Thank you so much for, you can follow me at tmurray06. Thank you so much for joining us, Joanie. I love you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.